My Lords, I'd like to thank everyone for a wide range of speakers, ensuring we've covered a lot of ground on this important issue. I think contributions have been thoughtful, sometimes tetchy, largely civil, and important to have these arguments out. One thing that I did note, and I was listening to what everybody said, was that all speakers on all sides have condemned the harassment and intimidation of any woman going into a clinic or into a hospital for an abortion. And I think it's important that we note that we have that in common, because sometimes it can be presented as though people who maybe are against Clause 4 are indifferent to the intimidation or harassment of women. But everybody said that's wrong. It's a question of how you deal with it. The dispute, I suppose, is also exactly what happens outside clinics. And we have heard the clash of narratives in the contributions that I referred to, and I think that does make the noble Lord Farmer's call for a new review all the more appealing to me. Indeed, the noble Baroness Sugg herself has suggested, and backed up by the reply that Baroness Barker gave me, that the situation has got a lot worse since 2018 and particularly very recently. But that is disputed by people, and I think maybe in order for this law to have kind of legitimacy, or this clause to have legitimacy, what we need is to then have a public discussion. Is this, get the evidence? And I think gaining the evidence would be important. I was challenged by the noble Baroness Lady Barker. She said, where's your evidence that access to abortion is not hindered? But I'm rather confused by that way round, because actually, surely those promoting Clause 9 need to show the evidence that the numbers who are accessing abortion have been stopped by these demonstrations. And if there is lots of evidence that shows there's been a dramatic decline in the numbers seeking terminations, I haven't seen it. Maybe it exists, but I just haven't seen it. Certainly the onus ought to be on those putting forward Clause 9 to show the evidence about why it's necessary, if it's the case that it's argued that this stops safe access to abortion facilities. Instead, what we've tended to hear, and not just in this House but in the other House and in the broader debate that's happening in society, is the idea that those people demonstrating outside clinics are distressing women going in. And I concede they are distressing women going in. And indeed, the noble Baroness Thornton asked at one point, are women lying about how they feel when they pass these protests? Of course women aren't lying when they do that. It's just that they're not lying about how they feel when they walk past the protest. It's just that I'm not sure that we should be legislating for feeling. Actually, anti-abortionists, if you get cornered by them in the bar or anywhere, I can assure you they feel very strongly about the issue, and they feel very strongly about walking past abortion clinics because they say that that upsets them. Many students say they feel traumatised by walking past symbols of colonial rule, etc. The thing is, should that feeling be, made illegal? That's the point. And so I'm worried that let's not make everything that makes us feel upset illegal. I hate finding myself on the opposite side of the debate to the noble Baroness Lady Sugg, as she's someone whose work on reproductive rights I greatly admire and have cheered on and am in awe of. But I do have to push back against the notion that maybe that this is all American money escalating the issue due to Roe versus Wade, and that's been echoed here. It all sounds very sinister, slightly conspiratorial, but I think it's important that we note that the UK is not the US. And what's happening in the UK is not what's happening in the United States. And we're not legislating for things that we worry might happen because we've seen it on the TV happening in America. If anything, and I think this is an irony, I think that one of the things that's escalated or certainly polarised this discussion over recent months is not just Roe versus Wade, which has had an impact, but has actually been this amendment, because a lot of people have panicked that they're going to be banned, and so consequently it's agitated the situation. And I thought that the noble Lord Shinkin made an excellent point about this being an own goal. I mean, turning the pro-life protesters into free speech martyrs would seem to be counterproductive. Baroness Watkins, to finish, Baroness Watkins of Tavistock reminded me when she spoke, even if she wasn't intending to, that it's not just women seeking termination who are affected by these vigils, but also often it's those health workers who are traduced and besmirched and, you know, called horrible names. And to note, I consider those who provide reproductive health care in this atmosphere as nothing short of heroes and heroines. I want to state that. But what I really admired about what the Baroness Watkins said was, I think, the maturity of her comments, calling on us not to rush this clause through, although she thinks there's a problem. She's actually supportive of many aspects of this clause, that we do need to consider the inadvertent consequences for free speech, freedom of conscience, freedom to be obnoxious in certain places and say things that I don't agree with or what have you. Can we have some balance, she suggested. And so I think I've got a lot to think about when I reread Hansard. I, of course, will withdraw my amendments now, but I think that I will be back. That's not a threat, by the way. I will be back to ensure that the intentions of the movers of Clause 9 don't actually damage civil liberties in this country. That's my intention.
It's your Lordship's pleasure this amendment be withdrawn.